The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
1420 Sports Bar Podcast, for beer with sports talk and a whole lot more. Join host Brent Radlinsky as he bellies up to the bar and gets the conversations going that'll make you think you're sitting in your local watering room. It's sports, beer, and shenanigans, so sit back, grab a few beers, and let's get into it. All right, 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, for beer with sports talk and a whole lot more for the September 15th, Sunday afternoon, 2024. Today's show, as always, brought to you by SeatGeek.com, the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420pod at SeatGeek.com today and save yourself $20 on your first purchase over there at SeatGeek. Remember, we are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Go to bellyupsports.com for all their great articles and other great podcasts, such as the Corner Booth podcast. No credentials required with Ryan and the guys. And then Crap Brewed Sports. I did a bit of a binge watch of the guys with Mike and Drew and Scott yesterday. I was down here in the Yankee Tavern North, enjoying a much-deserved time off day off there. And I just put the boys on and had a lot of laughs. They put on a great show over there at Crap Brewed Sports. If you don't watch their or listen to their podcast, make sure you go and tune into their YouTube channel. It's always a great entertaining time to they kind of do a show kind of like we do here at the 1420 podcast. Anyways, enough rambling about that. Kind of old news now, but not old news. I thought I'd give my take on this, but the DeSean Watson situation reared its ugly head again last week, especially after he had a bit of a rough go in the Browns opening game against the Dallas Cowboys. Threw for 8 yards. He might as well have it, but apparently his not disparaging this, but apparently his father passed away, and one of his close personal friends, and then so he had a bit on his mind, whatever kind of mind that guy has, which is not much from all accounts, everything else. But the news came out on Monday that he was up for some more sexual assault allegations. Jane Doe, she's calling herself, which I understand you don't want to get the people chasing after you on social media and everything else, but and more allegations came out, and on it goes. And it's kind of up in the air when this situation happened, if he disclosed it to the Browns, and on it goes. And Jim the Van Plotner, I listened to his show on Wednesday, and the conspiracy theories are abound about how this whole thing went through. Did this get let out to try to get Watson off the roster, because he's not having a very good day again today as I sit here recording this on a Sunday afternoon, NFL Sunday. I do not have a game on. I'm watching baseball because it's still baseball season. I could care less about week 2 of the NFL season. But anyways, it's just you wonder how this is all going to pan out, and why it got to this point, and how it got to this point, and how they can't just I know it's $230 million guaranteed, and on it goes. But the thing is eventually you do have to there's got to be a morality clause, and not just in the contracts, but between your ears. And I'm talking about more so the Browns management and Browns ownership, that this isn't working. And then every time something else comes out, it's a bit of a hindrance, not a bit of a hindrance, a huge hindrance to your football team and to your organization as a whole. You don't understand why this guy is still allowed to be on an NFL franchise. I know second, third, fourth, 25 chances now this guy's had. He settled a bunch of those things out of court, this case out of court, and how much money was given out and how much money he's still owed, and on it goes. It's just, to me, it's a bit disgusting that these things keep popping up out of nowhere, and where there's smoke, there's fire. And there's no way that this guy's innocent, and there's no way, because you know what, and it's this simple. You don't give money to somebody if you're innocent. You don't. And for the Browns to be sticking with this guy for $230 million, and they made the trades, and it was an awful trade with the Houston Texans, and on it goes. And he sat out the 11 games, and it's an absolute travesty for Browns fans and for football fans in general. This guy's on TV on a weekly basis. And it's actually kind of a travesty that we us podcasters talk about him, but it's got to get out there somehow. I know there's not thousands of people listening to my show, but it's weird to me that this guy isn't just cut loose and see you later. It's weird to me that I don't know who the Browns owners are. I don't know if they have daughters. I know they probably have wives, and how they aren't talking about this, saying, hey, like, this is all of this stuff. It should just not even be part of our world. We shouldn't have this at all inside our heads. We shouldn't be talking with this guy. This guy shouldn't be part of our franchise. This guy should not be part of our family, because these franchises, yes, they're in to make money, but yes, they're a family in general, and they usually stick pretty close. Everybody knows everybody, and you have the team events, I'm sure, that everybody goes to. But for the Browns ownership to be able to stick by this guy and stick with this guy, you're like, what the hell are you doing? Eventually, you got to think about your female fan base as well. And then your male fan base should be a bit down on this guy too. I couldn't see myself ever, like, if I was a Browns fan, I couldn't see myself ever buying a DeSean Watson jersey or a DeSean Watson t-shirt or whatever it might be. Like, it's absolutely disgusting that people actually cheer for this guy. And it's another thing, and it's another thing, and another thing. And it's not like the guy, and get to the football side of things. I kind of had a thought about this. Like, the guy had a pretty decent start to his NFL career when he was with Houston. You said some bad teams, but you look at his stats. He had a really good start to his career. The trade happened, and NFL scouts and NFL coaches and NFL GMs, they don't give $230 million to guys with no talent. I mean, look what Dak Prescott got last week, and that's with any sports franchise, no matter what league you're in. You don't get 230 sheets guaranteed by being a bad athlete or by being a bad player. So what happens with a guy like DeSean Watson is he's always, and it happens throughout sports. It's not just a football thing, but it happens throughout sports. If you can run fast, if you can jump higher, if you can throw a ball further, if you can do all these things, you get treated to a higher level than the average person, and then even the average athlete. You get held to a higher standard. So you walk around with a bit of a more charisma. You have confidence level with it because you can do whatever you want whenever you want, and then no one ever tells you anything different. And the thing with Watson, I think, how it's all gone sideways for him. Like, you sit out 11 games that one season, that's going to hurt because everybody's giving her. Like, everybody's already playing her, everybody's going hard, everybody's doing it, right? And so that you lose those 11 games, it's hard to catch back up. Then you don't, and it's a false swagger, this narcissistic bullshit that this guy's going through, and it happens throughout sports, happens throughout politics, happens throughout every facet of life, that you have a guy like Watson. Like I said, he's never been told no in his life and did whatever he wanted. He had a false sense of security and a false sense of confidence because he was able to do whatever he wanted, narcissistic attitude. And when you get brought down by 23, 24, whatever women it was, and are told, no, you can't do this to me anymore, it's not right. And when you get told by a group of people, or who by whoever, or even the NFL, how they suspended him or the Browns suspended him, I can't remember how the whole thing went down. But when you get told that you're a piece of garbage and you're not getting away with this crap anymore, your sense of self-being gets depleted. And so his confidence level, which was a false sense of confidence, I'm Dr. Ruth or whatever here talking about this stuff. I don't know, it's Dr. Heck, it doesn't matter. But you have this false sense of security and this swagger that narcissistic personalities have. And that was the thing that I think that Watson had. And because he's been brought down to earth at the expense of many women and the expense of his pocketbook, I mean, $230 million can go a long ways in lawsuits. But you don't have that same false sense of security anymore, and you're not the man you thought you were. And when people tell you no, you can't do this anymore. No, you can't do this anymore. No, and they've never heard that before. It's got to be tough. And it's got to be hard for your confidence level, and it's just the way it all worked out for Watson. And that's what you're seeing with the Browns now. He just doesn't have it, and to have these contracts not to be able to be null and void and not guaranteed money, and you just wonder, like, what the hell these owners think, because like how close were they to win? They have a very good defense. I'm not the biggest NFL guy, like I've said here before, but at what point do you go, we got to cut ties to this guy? Like, we got money beyond belief. Like, we make enough money every year to pay for this shit, and so $230 million, you pay it out over X amount of years. See you later, because you have a team right now that's not doing anything, and you have a fan base, and it's just a bad look for your franchise to keep having this guy around and to have this guy sticking through everything. And you just wonder at at whose expense is it? And it's, you know what, it comes down to the fans of the Cleveland Browns. And it's too bad that it has to get to that point, that the ownership and the management can't see the forest through the trees and say we got to do something, or maybe they just they're hamstrung by it and they can't do anything. Do you put Jameis Winston in and not win? And because if you win, then you look, or if you win with Winston, you look really dumb by not having a quarterback, or by paying a quarterback $230 million to sit on the bench. It was a mess to begin with. They should have found a way to get out of it when they had the chance. Before the 11-game suspension came out, they should have found a way to get out of it with this newest allegation. They got to find a way to get out of it and get this guy out of the league and not have him around, because he's a predator. There's no getting around that. And to have that guy as the there's only what 32 teams or whatever it is. There's 32 starting quarterbacks, and this guy, his starting quarterback, is the face of the franchise and on every team basically. It's just, you can't have this guy kicking around, and you can't have this guy as one of the faces of the NFL. It's a bad look for Browns fans. It's a bad look for NFL fans. It's a bad look for the NFL to be watching this guy and cheering this guy on a weekly basis, and his on the field stuff isn't just good enough anymore. And he's lost his confidence. He's lost his swagger, because he was told no by a lot of people. And he got brought down, and he got brought down heavily, and he should get brought down heavily again if these newest allegations are true. And this might be a thing, like Jim said last week, this might be a thing that maybe they had the Browns had this one in their back pocket a little bit and said, okay, well, here we go. Here's our way to get rid of this guy and not have to pay him the money for morality clauses and let the contracts go. It's just, it's too bad that it goes this way. And you get thinking about like how the National Hockey League and Canadian Hockey League, and with the allegations, the case is still going to court for the 2018 World Junior team, that they, a bunch of the players, Carter Hart was one of them, Dylan Dubé, Michael McLeod, Cal Foote, and then another guy, Alex Formenton, I think his name was. He played over in Europe, but there was 5 guys, 4 of them still in the National Hockey League. They didn't get contracts. They're sitting on the side just waiting. I will guarantee you that those boys will never play hockey again in the National Hockey League. And I think that's the way it should be. These guys have not been proven guilty. They have not been anything. But the National Hockey League said, you're going to sit out until this case is closed. And you're not. I don't think you'll see a team sign these guys, because it's not just for the fan base and the bad look that it is, but it also does a lot for. I think it does a lot for when a guy sits out for a couple of years, a year and a half, whatever. Sure, you can practice. Sure, you can go down and play with your local junior team, which probably it's a bad look as well. But it's not the same as playing in the National Hockey League at a high level. It's not game pace. It's not anything else. And so these guys are going to be out a year and a half probably of hockey, and then they'll never get that jump back. Look, once again, these guys are going to lose their swagger. They're going to lose their confidence. They're going to lose all of that stuff that you just don't get back. And if you sit out for 2 years, like I remember, like this is a different story, but the same kind of thing when Felix Potvin, when he sat out back in the early 2000 or early mid 90s, I think it was, and didn't have a place to play after the Leafs went out and got Curtis Joseph. He sat for a while, nowhere to play, came back, and he was never the same. You just lose that. You lose that game pace, and that's what happened with DeSean Watson, and that you're going to see that with these NHL guys who are sitting out right now too. So you just hope that that's the way. If these guys are guilty, they shouldn't play ever again. They should pay the ultimate price, obviously, whatever it might is, jail time or whatever it might be. And the same thing with Watson. You can't just keep paying your way out of these situations, and you can't keep having rich ownership bailing you out of these situations. There has to be some kind of be held more accountable, because if you have $230 million and you got to give $1 million here, $500,000 there, you'll miss that money. But if you still have $200 million left over, what do you care? Like, what do you care? You got away with it. You got away with it. So for all these people to like, I will never understand how devastating and traumatic it might be for these women to one, come forward, and then another thing to go through the court cases, maybe to settle and have to look this guy in the eye or whatever it might be. But at the end of the day, like, they can kind of have some solace in that they may have brought this guy down. Maybe he didn't get the exact punishment that he deserved, but to see him fail on a daily basis out in the football field and be kind of brought down and not be held at high regard that he was in college and his first few years of NFL career, that he they can take a little bit of solace in that and say, you know what, we brought this motherfucker down, and we're not going to name our names. He didn't get everything he deserved, but he got a lot that he deserved. And hopefully this latest allegation will be once it gets out and about and everything else kind of happens. Hopefully they get they find him guilty and find him as a sexual predator and put him in jail. I mean, if he didn't have all that money, he'd already be there. Like that's fact, and that's it's terrible that it got to that point that we hold these athletes in such high regard, and they feel they can get away with anything. Certain sports more than others, but these guys feel they can get away with anything. They got nothing but money, and it's terrible that there's people that pay the price for it. But these women might get the last laugh on this guy, and hopefully they do. It's got to end. It's got to be put away. His performance on the football field, they're winning 18-13 right now against a lackluster Jacksonville Jaguar team. Trevor Lawrence is overrated. He's overrated. That's my opinion. Anyways, I know listening to Two News Sports News last week, and they were saying that he wasn't, but I still think there's something not right there. Silken Lelman, he looks like. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out with DeSean Watson and the like. It's just you would think that just like the guy wouldn't be allowed to work at McDonald's with all these allegations against him. They'd say, you know what, we're going to cut our ties to these. Thanks, bye, see ya. If he wouldn't be able to work at a construction company, he wouldn't be able to work here and there, but because he can run fast and throw far and jump a little bit and everything else, he gets not a free pass, but he gets a free pass because he got some money. And it's disgusting that it gets to that point. You would think that the wives of the ownership group in Cleveland, or the daughters of the ownership group in Cleveland, would say something, say, hey, you got to get rid of this guy. It's just a bad look. That's the biggest thing for me. It's a bad look. You hang with dirt, you get dirty, and it's time for DeSean Watson to be put to pasture. He can go in wherever he was from and do whatever he's got to do and sleep comfy on his millions of dollars in his pocket. And if they can cut his contract down, I think it's $292 million or something he's already made. So it's time to go. It's just time to go. And that's my thoughts. I'm entitled to them. Anyways, 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, For Beer Sports, talking a whole lot more. This segment was brought to you by SeatGeek.com, the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420pod at SeatGeek.com today and save yourself $20 on your first purchase.
Join me as I take a deep dive into the least insulted ticketing app in history, SeatGeek. Did SeatGeek invent the ticket?
No, but we do make them work.
Drum roll, please. Ooh, how do I use the seat view feature?
It shows seats with a pole blocking the view. Don't buy those.
What if I want to sit behind a pole?
Buy those.
Join me as I bore you to death with a series of interviews about a ticketing app that just does what it's supposed to do.
Thank you very much to SeatGeek for sponsoring the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. For Beer Sports, talking a whole lot more. The Major League Baseball season, it's coming down to the last 2 weeks. It's crazy how it's already gotten to this point that it's down to about 2 weeks, 14 days left, and 2 weeks today. She's all said and done. There's going to be some interesting pennant races coming up. Wild card races, pennant races. There's only two that are done. Milwaukee, they're going to win the National League Central, and you have the Philadelphia Phillies, who's been wagging all season long. They're going to win the National League East. Surprising how good everybody expect the Braves to be. And then the Mets might sneak in. The old Mets might sneak in, but it's they're going to see what's one of the interesting storylines for me in the last 2 weeks this season is to see if the Chicago White Sox can reach 125 losses. And you think that that's a lot of losses. They got 113, 117 right now. That's a lot of losses throughout a season. So to get to 125, that's got to be a kick in the pills for Chicago White Sox fans because they had a pretty good crowd there last night. Oakland was in town. Maybe people seeing the Oakland A's for the last time on their farewell tour. We can talk about them in half a second. But that's going to be interesting to see how many losses they can get and to think what they might be able to do next year. It's kind of crazy to have that many losses. One thing that I liked is watching the Detroit Tigers. They're making a bit of a run for it last night. Almost pulled one off last night against the Baltimore Orioles, who are chasing the Yankees there, and we'll talk about the Yankees, of course, in half a second as well. But that Detroit Tigers team, they weren't supposed to do a whole bunch. They're only 2 games out of a wild card spot right now, and they beat Oakland, or they beat Baltimore today. You just never know; they might sneak in there for that wild card spot, and then once you get in, you never know anymore because pitching can be really, really tough in the playoffs. So you never know what could happen. You just got to get in. Look at what the Arizona Diamondbacks did last year. They got to the World Series and damn near pulled one off. But the one I want to talk about a little bit is the Oakland A's. They have a shot where they're on their last legs. The Days are dwindling down to a precious few. 65 wins, kind of where we thought they would be. But the end of the era is actually coming. The Oakland Alameda Coliseum, Rickey Henderson Field, or whatever it's been called in the last while. But it's coming down to the end, and it's too bad for the actually, the deal's not done yet. Their ownership group is still trying to screw that one up. And there was a situation in Sacramento last week where if there's a playoff game in the near future, and they're trending in the right direction, that they're not going to be able to play their playoff games in Sacramento, and they can actually the A's can go somewhere else and play somewhere because they can get bigger crowds and they can make some more money. And just an absolute mess how that's gone. And who knows if they're ever going to leave? Like it's still, the deal's not done in Vegas either, and just an absolute mess. But like the baseball field's a dump. Like we've talked about it here before on the show. It's an absolute dump. It's time to go and everything else. But there's been a lot of good memories that happened in that ballpark over the years. Been a lot of good things. I talked about it with Jim, the fan in the van, a week ago when we were talking about the Oakland A's and about Jose Canseco and on it goes. It's just you wonder. Like it's a bit of waxing poetic a little bit. Like Rickey Henderson, we talk about him a lot on 1420 podcast about the greatness of Rick, and he has some of his best years, obviously, with the Oakland A's. And then you go to the flip play that Jeter had in 2001 was in Oakland, and then some great teams, that 20-game win streak. And Moneyball was bullshit because it was the pitching staff that did it all. But the long history, and you feel bad for the fans of Oakland. Did they go out to games all the time? No. Is it their fault that it's leaving? Probably a little bit, but the ownership group didn't really do a lot of help for them either. But you do feel bad for the long-standing fans of that organization, the people who went year in, year out. Were they going year in, year out forever? No. They're just as much to blame, but you still feel bad for the A's fans who would go to 3, 4, 5 games a year. But that's the thing with baseball is even though you have a large population base, you need people to go more than 3 times a year. You need people to go more than 4 times a year. You need a good solid fan base that's going to go a lot, corporate tickets and on it goes. And it's too bad that the fans that do go and the fans who do wear the green jerseys and whatever variations they've had over the years, it's too bad that that once proud franchise with some world championships is going to be gone. Not gone, but it's in a different location. It's just too bad that it had to turn out the way it did. There was a deal that was supposed to be done in the Bay Area a while ago, and it just didn't get done. And it's too bad it's turned out that way. Talk about the Yankees for half a second before we get out of here. Kind of hard on them over the last few weeks, but they're still in first place, 3 games up on Baltimore, winning right now. And they think they've solved their closer situation. But I got a laugh yesterday. I was down here watching that. I was watching Crap Root Sports, had that on as well on one of my 28 TVs down here, it seems sometimes. But the Garrett Cole situation yesterday, where they walked Rafael Devers in the 4th inning with 1 out and nobody on, it was mind-boggling to me. Yeah, he's hitting 333 off them, but they had a 1-0 lead, and for them to decide to just out of nowhere just put a guy on with 1 out, he didn't give up a hit yet. Like the worst case scenario is that he hits a home run, you start with a clean slate again, done deal, or he gets a base hit. It showed a bit of a cowardice, in my opinion. Like if that conversation was had before the game, have some confidence in your ace. Like how that even comes about. I know they talked about him and the best Latin hitters he's ever faced, and Devers does own Cole a little bit, but every once in a while you got to just eat it and don't be such a coward. I thought it was a very cowardly move yesterday by Garrett Cole not facing him, and by Boone to not read the room a little bit. And that's the one thing about Cole that I don't like. Like he's a great pitcher, probably one of the best that there's like top 10 ever, maybe when it's all said and done. But it was a bit of a cowardly move, and maybe they're thinking too much. Just strike the guy out, or let him get a hit, or whatever happens. At best case scenario, the guy's going to hit 300 off you. Like that's still pretty good odds. It's still 7 out of 10 times you're gonna get the guy out, or 67% of times, or whatever it is with Devers. So I just found it was a bit of a cowardly move to put him on yesterday, not face him, not face your demons per se. And it was just weird to me that he didn't do that. And it was just really a different. I've just never seen that before, where you put a guy on when there's nobody on, and like Barry Bonds maybe, but it was. Rafael Devers isn't Barry Bonds, for Christ's sakes. It was just really a strange thing to see with the Yankees today. Judge is at 53 home runs. He kind of hit a bit of a stalemate with 70 at bats. I thought he was going to get I thought he was going to get 65 home runs. So I think he'll probably finish with probably 56, 57 when it's all said and done. And that'll be another great season with him and the Yankees. They got a shot. They have a shot. The couple of walk-off wins this week earlier with against Kansas City and then against Boston tonight with the Judge Grand Slam late in the game to seal that one up. So it was fun to watch. And the playoff atmosphere in the Bronx race, it's going to be fun to see it all come down. But it's the days are dwindling down to a precious few. It just seems like yesterday we're doing the Belly Up Baseball kickoff show. It's crazy how quick the time goes. But anyways, thanks for our sponsors, Righteous Felon Jerky. Go to Righteous Felon and use promo code BELLY UP at Righteous and save 15% at righteousfelon.com for the best in craft jerky in the land. And it's great stuff. I finally got my hands on some, drilled it down my yap. It's very, very tasty, very flavorful, and good. It's really good stuff. So anyways, that's Righteous Felon Jerky. Thank you very much to Belly Up Sports and to Righteous Felon for being a part of it.
Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of Belly Up Sports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at righteousfelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon Jerky.
Once again, thank you to Righteous Felon Jerky for sponsoring the Belly Up Media Network. Anyways, good caller, good today. Got mom coming over right away. I thought I would just jump on Sunday afternoon. Going to get back on a regular schedule. 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, 4 Beer Sports Talk, and a whole lot more. Starting Mondays and Thursdays again. Then the couple times a week during the 1420 in the morning. They're a lot of fun to do. Just quick little hits. But I got a new endeavor. We're starting, I think, on Tuesday night this week. Leopards Bulls podcast. For those of you who know me, I took on a role as a baseball executive this summer, but it's going to carry on throughout the winter and into next season. And for the foreseeable future, I'll be part of the Leopards Bulls and WCBL. But anyways, we're going to start a weekly Bulls podcast. Players of the past, players that are still around, players of the future, GMs and coaches, people and stuff, and coaches. Going to interview them. About a half-hour show once a week. Going to have that out there. So start that on Tuesday. I think we're going to get the first one out there. So that'll be a lot of fun. We'll be up on the Bulls YouTube channel, and then also up on the Belly Up channel, and on it goes. So it'll be a lot of fun talking with those guys in the past and talking baseball and keeping people interested in Leopards Bulls baseball throughout the off season. So it should be a lot of fun talking to those guys. And we have a sponsor in that whole thing already, ready to go. So there it is, the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, 4 Beer Sports Talk, and a whole lot more. Take care of each other, but more importantly, take care of yourself, because we need you around. Keep your stick on the ice. Don't swing at high pitches. And remember, it doesn't matter where you are. It's who you're with. Have a good day, folks. We will talk to you again tomorrow.